Today we're going to be doing the fuel pump on my 1999 E46. It's got 146,000 miles on it. It's a little past due, so we're going to do this as preventative maintenance. I purchased a brand new fuel pump from FCP Euro. It's got a lifetime warranty on it, so we're going to throw that in. And I got a new seal for the top of it. And then I also bought a fuel filter and new fuel line. So we're gonna get all this done so that we can continue to have happy motoring experiences in this car. As a precautionary measure, I also have a fully charged fire extinguisher right next to the car, and I also have a second one outside the frame. Step one to accessing your fuel pump, which is under the rear seat, is to pull the rear seat. This is done relatively easily by grasping the front of the seat and just pulling up. There's a clip here, and there's a clip right behind the driver's side. So if I just yank it, you'll hear it pop. And the entire seat lifts up and pulls out. Then underneath of your seat, you will have to pull the carpet up just a little bit here. The fuel pump is on the passenger side. So we're gonna try and make some room. There's sound deadening that you will have to lift up. If it hasn't already been cut, you will need to cut the sound deadening so you can remove it. So kind of remove this sound deadening rubber out of the way like that. Pull this entire thing up, and you will see 4 nuts underneath that need to be removed. These 4 nuts are 10mm, so I'm using a 10mm socket to loosen all of these. So we're going to take all of them out. And sit them over in a safe place, which in my part is the ashtray. And then this plate just lifts out like that. Okay. Then you need to take a screwdriver, a flat screwdriver, and this connector right here. So right back here, take the screwdriver, place it in there. Just kind of pry back a little bit. And we'll allow the connector to pull back just like that. And that pulls. Pull back a little bit and up, the connector will come off. The next item of business is that we're going to need to remove this lock plate and pull the entire fuel pump assembly out. Now, the fuel that's in the fuel line is going to be under pressure, so the easiest way to depressurize the system is to go into the car and turn it on with either the fuel pump relay or fuse removed, or with this connector off. So that's what we're going to do next, and just let it run until it dies. So we're going to turn the car on. Starts up, dies. And that will have depressurized the fuel system. Next step, this clamp right here needs to be removed somehow. You can try and twist it off with pliers, or using a screwdriver, or you can do it the dangerous way and use a Dremel like this. So we're going to try and take this clamp off. And we'll remove this ring, and the entire assembly pulls out, and we'll replace it.
Generally, smoldering metal around gas is not a good idea.
Oh, it's perfectly fine. Oh, that went somewhere bad. Yeah, it's not coming back.
It's right there.
Oh, is it? Never mind.
Yeah.
Okay, hose clamp removed. After this, the next thing we need to do is remove this clamp. So,
there's always that little bit of like nasty stuff on the edge for some reason.
Oh, you mean this stuff?
Yeah, I don't know. I guess it's some sort of glue or something.
Nasty goop. Break that stuff.
You're gonna have to pull that fuel line off.
Should just pry off, I believe. This usually takes a little finessing, so kind of start around the edge. Kind of come in.
In theory, you shouldn't spray gas all over the place if you started the car.
There we go.
There's all the fuel that shouldn't be in the line.
Yeah. We'll let that sort of do that. Do we have a container that will not?
Do you have any water bottles or Gatorade bottles in here, or are we using all for the brake stuff?
Well, I got rid of some of the brake fluid,
Hmm?
but we may have some water bottles. That will probably melt with gas, but we'll find out. Whoa, that was something. All right.
That was helpful.
Smells like fuel in here.
I wonder why.
The lock ring is off. Then this thing, do I have to do anything?
Hmm?
Or does it just pull out?
Lift out, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Well, I'm just gonna kind of prep it. Whoops. That. Movie magic. It will be fine.
Oh,
Smells like gas.
yeah.
The new fuel pump, the old fuel pump assembly will lift out, like so. There's a gas line right back here. Try not to drop the light into the fuel tank.
You're gonna have to do a little wiggling.
Yeah, fuel pump sock and the float assembly.
Make sure you get gasoline all over your light that you're using.
Always. We've got our new assembly right here, so one of the things we need to replace is the seal. We've got the new seal here, it goes around the new assembly. Like so. Just like that. Make sure I got that in the right orientation. I don't. So, the ridges, the narrow ridges go up towards the top, and the bigger lip goes towards the bottom. So, get to clear everything. Alright, so we're on. Then the float goes in. Make sure the sock clears. Put this back in.
If you don't do that correctly, your float won't come back up correctly, and when you're filling your fuel up, it'll your fuel gauge will get stuck at like 3/4 of the way.
Has that happened to you?
It has.
And then you take it all back apart?
Yes, sir. And that is not something you want to do, especially when you have a full tank of fuel.
Is there any way to verify that it's in there correctly?
Not really. I mean, you could hook the wire back up and look at your gauge,
Yeah.
but you don't have a full tank of gas, so it's gonna be hard to tell.
But if I get gas, then I'll know.
Yeah, but at that point,
Yeah. Then this lock ring goes right back on. Fit the ring in, like the seal in first, and then kind of push the pump in, or what?
I'm gonna try and see what I can figure out here. So, in theory, can I go like? It's probably would have been easier to do before the float got in here. So.
And the old one pulled out with the pump assembly, so that's why I put it in that way. But
I understand. All right. So I can't. I'm like, yeah. My foot's cramping up.
Yeah, not a very comfortable job.
I was doing it in like 100-degree weather when I did mine. Alright. So now, in theory.
That looks probably better.
Oh yeah. 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 That's much better.
So, the more you know.
Now I'm trying to locate this.
Probably saves one a lot of time.
Oh. Mint right there. That went on easy. Now you can just bang it the rest of the way on. I don't know how far I'm supposed to take this.
A quarter turn.
Like that.
Go a little bit further. Like how much, like if you take one of those markers.
Alright, yeah,
that's good.
Now I'm gonna break the ring if I go any further.
Before you put the fuel line on here, be absolutely sure that you put the hose clamp on first, like that. So I'm gonna put it on this way so I can easily access the screw. I'm going to slip it right on the nipple, bring it up like that, and we're going to tighten her down. You probably can't see because I have to hold this so it doesn't rotate. Go good and tight, then all we do is put this back on. So it goes on like that, it just goes straight on, and you just take this and you squeeze. Like that until it clicks, and it's reinstalled. Now we're gonna replace the fuel filter. The fuel filter is this silver canister right up here. So the first thing we need to do is remove this undercover panel, and it is held on by 1, 2, 3, 4 8mm screws. There's a fifth, or actually a third screw, but fifth fastener that needs to be removed right here that I missed. So right there. Under here we have our fuel filter. It's held in with one 10mm nut. And we have a fuel line and a fuel line that we're going to replace so that we don't have any leaks. This is interesting. There is an, check this out. This right here, spare. So someone's been in here before. Yeah, because there's a hose clamp and a hose clamp. There's another middle one here that should not be there. So we're gonna go ahead and take the filter bracket off, so 10mm. Drop the nut. This thing will kind of just pull down like that. And it's got little fingers here that clip in and just kind of hold it in place. The new filter actually includes this rubber piece on it pre-mounted, so don't worry about that. And the next item of business is just to remove it. This system, we've already depressurized it from doing the fuel pump. So hopefully we don't have gas spraying in our face, but we probably will have some gas leaking just from gravity.
Luckily, most of it ended up in the back seat.
My experience is that this fuel line right here tends to deteriorate over time and it will eventually leak, so make sure you replace the fuel line. Because we're replacing this fuel line already, I'm just going to speed removal up by cutting the fuel line rather than trying to preserve it.
This definitely seems to be speeding the process up.
We're going plan B. You ain't going it really hard with pliers.
At least it wasn't pressurized.
It's better than, yeah, fuel spraying everywhere. Take the fuel line off. This line actually seems good, so we're going to leave that line on. So I got another hose clamp. We're going to go ahead and put that back on. And I got a better razor blade, hopefully, and we're going to use that to cut fuel line to size. The fuel line I purchased is fuel injection hose from Advanced Auto, and it is 5/16 inch in inside diameter, or 7.9 millimeters. Seems to work just fine. So we got our new fuel filter for this car, which is a MAL KL66 fuel filter. And I also cut my new fuel line, which is on the right, compared to the old fuel lines. It's about the same length. Put the new fuel line on first. Then we're gonna unpackage our fuel filter. Take it out of the box. It's got the rubber on it, and it's got the arrow right here. So what we're gonna do next, take the cap off. I'm gonna go ahead, put the nipple in the fuel line, like so. Put the other fuel line side back on the nipple, like so. Slide the hose clamps on. And tighten everything down. Put these fingers back in, tighten this down first. And we'll put it all back together. Which is as simple as just basically putting this protector back on. Before we start the car, I'm going to cycle the fuel pump a few times by turning the ignition to run. And then we're going to check for leaks, see if we hear anything. And if everything looks good, we're going to go ahead and start the car. You can hear the new fuel pump kick on, just turned off. Okay, it sounds like it's coming out the pressure because the sound changed slightly. That sounded weird. Alright, I think that's good enough for right now. We're going to go ahead and check for leaks. We don't have any fuel back here. Looks good. And I'm basically just going to look under the car and see if there's anything dripping. There is stuff dripping under the car near where the puddle of fuel is, so we're going to put this in the air. So we're checking for leaks, and we just saw a drip coming from right here. This is just water. From where our fuel lines are, we don't see any evidence of leaking, so we're good to go.
YOLO. Yeah, it's on.
Okay. So we're gonna go ahead and give the car a try. Hopefully it starts. It's probably gonna hesitate and then start. Runs. So now what we're gonna do is finish reassembling the vehicle. Yeah. So first thing to note when you're putting this back together, the sound deadening right here, at least in my car, appears to be getting underneath of this plate. Make sure it's not there. Sit the plate back down. Then we'll hand thread each of these 4 10mm nuts on, just to get them started. And then we'll tighten them the rest of the way down. Then we have to lay the sound deadening back down. Just kind of put it in place. It's old and brittle, so it's not really going to be in one piece anymore, but it's okay. Take this right here. This is kind of a pain. Snake your wire back down where it's all nice and thick and insulated. Put it in there. Take this, and you've got to very carefully and somewhat forcefully squeeze it back into this hole. I think that's in there. Just like that. Then we're going to take our seat. This part's a little bit difficult. So you need to make sure you get all your seat belts here into their appropriate places. So start to bring the seat back, bring the seat belts through. But the next thing you need to do is I usually just sit on it because I'm pretty light, but these clips need to be popped back down. So you can hear that clip in. Come over here. Make sure it's slid all the way back, and it should pop back in. Oh, come on. Right there. Clipped in, all done.